I already forget your other.
Good evening and welcome to the moratorium, the public hearing on the, moratorium ordinance regarding retail recreational marijuana. Tonight is Tuesday, October 25th, right? 24th, 2017. Sorry, it's a long day. We're going to open up the public hearing to just residents of Acton, and we're asked that you speak no longer than 3 minutes. If you can keep it to 3 minutes, that would be great. Thank you. Yes. And Mr. Nass is the chairman of the marijuana committee, so he may speak a little more than 3 minutes.
No, I won't need more.
Okay, that's okay.
Hi, my name's Richard Nass, and I am the chairman of the committee that you guys appointed to try to come up with some information, recommendations on the marijuana situation, I guess I'll call it. So we as a committee, have met twice. We have 7 members, so we are underway. We are, thanks to Jerry, basically talking to other towns in the state of Washington and Colorado. We have another conference call tomorrow, and it's amazing what you can do with a conference call. We're all over the country at this point, so that's a good thing. Tonight is about the moratorium, and we had decided as a committee that we would not take a position on the moratorium, but we would use this opportunity to explain what we think a moratorium is. We are worried, or I'm worried about, a lot of people may be thinking that this moratorium is going to deprive them of the right or the opportunity to use marijuana or to grow it, and that is not the case. This moratorium does not do anything about the referendum that was passed last November. So all Maine citizens have the right to use and grow at this point. There's some federal issues with that that we're uncertain about. Our intention is to make recommendations to the selectmen. We may or may not come up with an ordinance proposal. You may or may not accept our recommendations, and we'll see what happens. So yesterday, the legislature passes a piece of legislation that basically sets up a lot of rules and regulations. Neither the House nor Senate got a 2/3 vote. The governor is indicating, it looks like he's going to veto it. He may or may not. He changes his mind a lot. So we don't know what's going to happen. So we're still in a state of unknown. So the moratorium, for our purposes tonight, the moratorium is not a new piece of legislation. This has been around for a long time. It allows a town, a municipality to hold up, whatever the proposal may be. It could be a new development, it could be a shopping center, it could be a particular land use. Typically, they're mostly land uses for 180 days. That's all it will do. During that 180 days, the municipality has the time and the opportunity to respond, basically. It may be creating ordinances, it may be to do nothing. The moratorium language provides for another extension at the request of the selectmen for another 180 days, and then it dies, basically. That's the end of it. It's been around for a long time. I don't think that Acton has ever used it. We had a little conversation a few minutes ago about a massage parlor that was almost in Acton that generated some activity. There was also activity when Pat Hannon proposed a garbage sorting facility at the Apple Packing Shed. Do you remember that one? So that was also, that activity, the potential for moratorium was discussed then. So all it does was put everything on hold relative to marijuana for 180 days. And that's all I need to say about it, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great explanation.
I don't think it's the wish of this board to go any further than 180 days, as long as, the marijuana committee comes to us and, gives us recommendations. The state has their act together. I'm more concerned with the state getting their act together than I am the committee here in this town. So, like I said, I don't think it's any of our intention to go any further than 180 days. But like Mr. Nass explained, there is a provision to go another 180, but we're not looking to drag this out.
Are there any more comments from the public? Oops. My timer wasn't here.
I can shut it off, you might not like it.
Why is it- oh, okay. See, let me get your phone.
Mike Crum, I'm also a member of the committee, and I'll just go ahead and speak through the iPhone malfunction there.
Okay.
I'm speaking not as a member of the committee, just as an individual here, but I think that no matter what we do, moratorium, no moratorium, what have you, I think it's important that what we're doing with the marijuana committee continue, because I think we should really start putting things in place, a structure of some kind of, something to do in case we decide to go with it. We'll have half the work done. But also, I just wonder how legal, how much, if deep pockets can't come into this state and somehow overturn the ban part of the law, because deep pockets changed the law in Colorado, and that's a state with a lot bigger, it's a much bigger kind of situation out there. So I think a town would be well advised to at least have some rules in place in case they're forced to deal with that issue. Because if you have the rules in place, you can control what happens. If you have no rules in place and just say no, then you're setting yourself up possibly for future problems. Thank you.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think that's part of why we'd like to try to get the moratorium in for the 180 days so we can get something together and basically have an infrastructure that if something, when it does come forward, then we do have something there to work with, rather than trying to play catch up on the other end.
Hi, Susan Meehan. So to be clear, to be clear, with the moratorium, if you were to do it, it would go into place immediately, even though the state has a moratorium right now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And then you would be able to extend it another 180 days if you wanted to?
If necessary.
Without
Needed
going
to.
to the people?
Right, but only once.
That's not our intention.
No, we would like to,
Yeah, that I'm a little uncomfortable with.
It almost brings us, it's pretty close to bringing us to town meeting if there's any new zoning developed in the marijuana committee that we might need to extend it to town meeting just for convenience sake, but
I
I don't
personally think the biggest thing anybody could do is the marijuana committee where they're actually looking at zoning and stuff like that. So somebody doesn't come in the middle of the night and say, well, I just bought 100 acres and I'm putting a huge grow operation in. And you have no zoning, nothing, and now you have problems. So I really do believe in the marijuana committee, and it would be great when they start looking at zoning and things like that to protect the town. But I still am wondering why we're doing a moratorium when the state already has one now, rather than waiting till January.
it's safer. And I think that their moratorium is up in January or February, is that right?
February.
February, yeah, that's not enough time for this committee to pull things together.
Right.
And it's months before our town meeting as well. So,
I mean, we've waited this long, we can wait another 180
Right,
days.
I agree, but I really think the big work will be the marijuana committee.
definitely, they need to continue to meet because, we definitely need to,
Protect yourselves, because I don't want to see a bunch of retail stores littering 109. I don't want that. I don't even want to know if there's a grow facility in town. So I want, plenty of zoning to say they have to be 200 feet off the road or whatever. I just don't even, I don't want to see those. Maybe I'm wrong.
no, I agree, I think that, but that's why I feel that we need the moratorium in place, so we can put together all these things, find out whether we want it or not, and then put together the backbone of this whole thing. I agree, a couple hundred feet off the road, there's a lot of things that need to happen.
Right, and that all goes under zoning and.
Right, and zoning, as we found out with, anybody that remembers the 4.1.2.3 dots, that was a long, drawn out, actually, it went more than a year to get it right. It took 2 cycles basically to get it right. I don't know whether it was rushed or not, but we want to get this right the first time.
Right, so zoning is your friend, but, yeah, okay.
Yep. And I'd like a lot of the information that's come forward from the marijuana committee. We get most all the emails that go back and forth. There's a lot of very enlightening emails. I mean, I know I've come out and said I was against this whole thing, but we'll see. I do like the information that's coming forward.
Hi, I'm Susan Loach. I just have a question that maybe the committee, I think that it's an agreement that the committee is probably going to continue after tonight. But my question is in regards to when you build a moratorium, when you build it, can you override the laws that the state is going to have?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that's what I wanted, because you can waste your time in certain areas. If they say that it has to be 150 feet or less or more, and they make that decision, we as a community can't override that.
Well, we can override it to say,
That's what I
I
wanted.
just finished reading this in the new bill. If, let's just say, it says 150 feet, we can say 200, and that's okay.
All right,
But we can't supersede a state law to make it a less of a minimum, a smaller minimum.
so we can change the guidelines, we can't change the law.
Right, and we can't go below their fixed setup. In other words, any rule that they make, we could increase it, there's not all the rules, there's some rules we have no control over, but things like that, setbacks, et cetera, the town has the right to pretty much do whatever they want, as long as they're not saying, we could put that retail store 2 feet off the roadway.
Right.
I mean,
So-
the state has some specific rules about setbacks and, whatever, but like from the state, from the schools, their minimum is 1,000 feet.
Right,
But there is an exception where a town can bring in 500 feet with certain, I don't know exactly what they are, but we would never be able to have a retail store closer than 500 feet. But I would say we go with at least 1,000, those are things we can make it more, but we can't make it less. Okay? That's the way the state law is, sort of written.
And that's, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the town can be more restrictive, not less.
Right.
Right.
And that doesn't, that's whether it's zoning by, waterfront, or anything like that, not just marijuana. I mean, you can't, the towns can't go below the minimum standards set by the state.
Jerry Knowlton, I'm one of the members of the marijuana committee as well. I just wanted to throw out a couple things for those who didn't come and are worried about the moratorium. So far, we've talked to 5 individuals. I just want to list them out. So we've talked to Eric Bergman, who's the policy director at Colorado Counties, Kevin Boomer, the director of policy for Colorado Municipal League, Jim Doherty, who's the municipal research services coordinator for Washington State. We've talked with Jim Burak, who's the chief of Colorado's marijuana enforcement across the state. And we've got 2 cities that we're talking to, one, both in Washington, one that has permitted and one who has prohibited marijuana operations in their towns. Everyone we've talked to so far has said very clearly, there is no reason to rush. Get it right the first time. And given the amount of work that the committee's putting into this, we've been working, I think, 3 weeks now. It's been a heavy lift to get this much information. We need time. So the moratorium, I think, is the right way to go, personally. The big question for me, and now I'll speak just as an individual, not as a committee member, the big concern that I have as we look at this for the town, and I think the majority of citizens in Acton would agree with this, unless this is going to result in significant income for the town, in other words, from a tax perspective, income back to the town, I don't know that we want to change the nature of the town. So from a zoning perspective, I've got to believe that we may look at, as a citizen, I might want to look at a ban in the town if there's not enough money coming in to justify what it's going to cost us. So as a committee, we're looking at what's the law say? What are other towns experiencing? What costs are they incurring as part of this? So that we can understand what were the unexpected benefits, the unexpected costs. What we've heard so far is, broadly speaking, it's not been the end of the world as we know it for as many people suggested. But it also hasn't been the cash cow that was promised either. And when we look at what Maine is doing relative to the income tax or the sales tax on this, in Colorado, they're allowed to charge a local sales tax on top of what the state is doing. So we talked with one town that makes over $1.4 million in a year. It's 0.7 of a square mile. It's 4 miles from downtown Denver. They have their pot stores open until midnight, where Denver closes at 10 p.m., so they get a little bit of traffic that way. They're next to 600,000 people. I don't think we're going to sell $28 million worth of pot. So I just think we need to look at this and make sure that it's going to be a financial benefit to the town. And if it isn't, I think we have to ask ourselves, do we want this in the town?
Thank you. Any other comments? Questions?
Can't resist. Mike McCrum. I have to agree with Jerry about the fact that it's not looking like based on what the state has done with their taxes, it's not looking like it's going to be a huge cash cow. But, so I've been rethinking my whole thing. I came into this thinking it was all about the money. But then a person I respect, whose opinion I respect, pointed out that it's really, what do we have in this town? People want to keep the rural atmosphere. Well, I tell you, I've watched this town change since 1966, and it's always maintained its rural flavor. And I don't think allowing commercial marijuana operations in the town is going to change that as long as we put the proper controls on. They will offer us more tax base with their property taxes. There's a bunch of benefits that will be coming with the dollars will be coming that are steady dollars. And I think it's a matter of fairness. I mean, we allow the sale of alcohol and tobacco in this town. There is no good reason we shouldn't allow the sale and or production of marijuana, in my opinion. And on the other side of it is we are not just a bedroom community, we are a recreational community. And people who recreate like to be able to enjoy the things that are available in that state. And we'd be well advised to have them be able to get, along with that 6-pack beer, a Duber or two, okay? So I'm for it, and I'm going to remain for it. I just can't base it all on the money now. It's a matter of fairness. Thank you.
And that's one of the good side effects, I think, of the committee. When we put the committee together, we tried to make a balance of pro, con, and neutral. And I'm seeing the mix of the committee changing within the committee, which is good because that means that everyone's getting educated. And that's where we need to be. Like I said, I was 100% against it. I didn't like it. Been taught all my life it's bad. It turns you into an idiot. Growing up, that was the mindset. Some of this is changing. So even in my mind. So, yeah. So, hey,
Is there liking up
I
there?
stay, I mean, I try to have an open mind towards things, and
Watch out.
so, yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna go in the booth and vote for or against, but, I'm getting educated, and I'd like to see, I see that the committee is also getting educated, which means all of us will be.
Yeah, I think we all are getting educated.
Yeah, thank you for
Which is-
passing those
appreciate it.
emails
Yeah,
along.
and I just want to thank Jerry too for his hard work on the committee. I don't know whether you're the one that's been doing all the work with the other towns, but,
The whole team.
so, yeah, but it's worked out great. I do thoroughly enjoy the emails, and that's what's educating us.
Brendan Meehan, I totally agree. My opinions have been changing too. But I just want to remind everybody that all of these activities are going on in Acton right now. Retail sales, growing, everything, and a pretty large scale. So you may want to take that into consideration.
Hi, Lois Mishu. Now that he said that, Mr. Meehan, I was wondering, what are you gonna do about the ones that are already established? I mean, there are a few in town, I'm not naming where they're at and so on and so forth, they're already established. They are here.
Medicinal.
Yeah.
We can't, this
That's what
moratorium.
I'm saying, but either, no, after the moratorium and everything else gets done, you guys decide like where you want it, how far away from the roads. If they're already established, how is that gonna work in, or is it gonna be already there?
I'm kind of,
You're talking about like caregivers?
Yeah, is it already gonna be,
We don't have any control over the caregiving medicinal growers.
Alright, so there is a few in town, like I said, that do this at this point, and I didn't know if they have to, not so much stop, but, restrictions, like you guys are saying, so many feet away from the road, or so much. If they're already established, how are you guys gonna?
I think once they don't need a prescription anymore, they'll go retail, they'll do that.
Okay, that's kind of what I was looking at, it's like, But yeah, no, but they have done a really good job, and I'm glad they found their independence, and I'm glad they did their research, because that's all I wanted was facts. I didn't want make-up stories.
I'm glad you brought that question up, just to reiterate that this does not stop medicinal growers from growing. This is only recreational. And also for people at home, if you want to get a copy, there's still more up here at the town hall.
It might be on the website too, if it isn't, we'll make sure it is in the morning.
Rob Meyer. I'd like to know, I believe in November, we're gonna have a special vote on the moratorium, so everybody can vote on it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, November 28th.
yeah.
Polls will be open, it'll be a secret ballot.
And that's on like the 5 different,
It's,
5 or
this,
6.
yes, the moratorium on recreational marijuana will cover all 5 licenses.
But you have individual vote?
No.
No, it's
It's
just
just
one.
all,
It's just a group moratorium,
Oh, okay, the moratorium.
yes. Yeah.
And then later down the line, if the state gets its act together, and then are people gonna vote again to say, I want that, but not that?
That's the hope. Yes.
Well, it depends on what the committee comes up with in their research. And
Yeah, it could be,
proposing ordinances and.
yeah, it could be all, it could be nothing, it could be 2 out of 3. I mean, that all gets down, that's what needs to be figured out partly. You get the moratorium in first, then that's the work to put together for June.
Okay.
Okay. So just to be clear, the moratorium is for all 5, oops. All 5.
Time's up.
The moratorium places the hold on all 5 licenses for recreational marijuana.
It doesn't affect your ability to grow at home or something.
Yes, you can still smoke it at home and grow it at home, up to, it's 12 plants? 6 mature plants.
Six per person up to 12 plants per household.
Did you get that? Up 6 mature plants, up to 12 per household, 6 per person. All set? Shall we close the public, adjourn the public hearing?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Good night.
Thank you.